We are just hours away from the Six Nations, my favourite time of year, not just because you start to get a little smell in the air that spring is on the way and winter may soon be in the rearview mirror, but because the greatest annual rugby tournament of them all is nearly here. And another day and another potentially crushing injury to England, with the news that Marcus Smith hobbled out of training and was seen on crutches leaving the training session for England. With Owen Farrell taking a step back from duties, it was thought that this was Marcus Smith's time. Finally, without the spectre of Owen Farrell there, who still is, in my opinion, the best English fly half, but lots of people would disagree, but that's absolutely fine. Marcus Smith, there is no doubt, is an absolutely prodigious talent, and you thought this could be his time, and he's injured. How long for? We don't know. There was a scan that was going to be happened. He could still be available for Italy. The question is, who do you pick in England's back line with the growing injuries? And also, here's another question. Is Marcus Smith the person that you think was going to start against Italy? Anyway, I have a thought in my mind that George Ford was going to start. I've been saying this on the channel in the last couple of weeks building up to it, thinking about how Steve Borthwick approaches his rugby and how he has been as England head coach, the type of game he wants to play. And also, let's not forget the absolutely exceptional talent that George Ford has. I think there's an argument to say he will be Steve Borthwick's #1 choice at fly half anyway. And potentially, with this being the game against Italy, with the greatest of respect to them, and with Finn Smith and Emmanuel Faye-Waboso both qualifying for Scotland and Wales respectively, I think there's a good chance to say Ford was going to start anyway, and Finn Smith was going to be on the bench in order to get him capped so that Scotland can't pick him. And Marcus Smith may have been waiting in the wings, potentially for Wales next week. We'll wait and see on that. But and we don't know the extent of the injury yet, but this has just been reported. This is all we know at this moment in time. Marcus Smith left training in crutches, but it adds to issues for England in the back line, which I'll come to in a second. But actually, before I get there, thank you for the little messages of concern. Just checking I'm all right. I am absolutely fine. I haven't put a video up on the channel for a little while, and that is for two reasons. Firstly, because I lost my voice for a few days, and bearing in mind the job I do, that's a bit of an issue. So you might be able to hear it. It's just on its way back. And the reason I lost my voice is because I had a very big weekend with some friends, a rugby weekend away in Paris, where I watched Racing 92 against Toulouse, watched a load of French rugby in French bars. In fact, I'll tell you what, here's some of the choice and edited highlights of a rugby weekend away in Paris.
2, 1, let's go!
And there you go. That is a little hint at why I lost my voice. I will do a proper video on that Paris weekend coming up soon, but this is far more pressing matters. Six Nations. And, you know, depending on the severity of Marcus Smith's injury, is he out for a game? Maybe he'll be fine. Is he out for a game? Is he out for the tournament? We'll wait and see on that. We don't have any hard data, or at least I don't as I record this video. George Ford has only just come back from an injury himself. He's been nursing his leg as he's returned to play. And I remember watching a game he played for Sale Sharks. And he's only played 2 or 3 games since he's been back. And when he was playing that game, he stopped kicking for goal. And I think Sam Bedlow, his Sale Sharks teammate, started kicking for goal, which says to me, and you might be able to just see a little bit of strapping on his right leg there, George Ford has had some injury issues as well. So is all of this teeing itself up for a moment for Finn Smith? Now, this guy, I think there is a strong argument to say, amazing as Marcus Smith is, brilliant as George Ford is, there is an argument, I think, to say that Owen Farrell is the main man And the guy that is actually going to take his spot is Finn Smith. He's got something very, very special. Still very raw, very young. But in that performance away at Thomond Park in Munster, we saw something very, very mature. And in the Champions Cup review video, I was absolutely glowing with the praise for Finn Smith in howling winds, bad conditions against, you know, such a proud European rugby nation, playing for Northampton Saints. And for Finn Russell to go there, Finn Russell, he could be England's Finn Russell. For Finn Smith to go there and in those difficult conditions and with a man down for 50 minutes, just to manage the game so well, I think we saw that this kid has got something very, very special. So I hope he gets capped for England in this Six Nations, and I'm looking forward to seeing him get some game time. I don't think he's ready yet, but I think he is the long-term successor for Owen Farrell. That's how it appears from where I am, but disappointing for Marcus Smith. But this only just layers on top. This latest potential injury, don't know how serious yet, to Marcus Smith, only layers on top issues that England have got in general. And I've just knocked up almost a 23-man squad's worth of injured or unavailable players. This is players that are either currently injured, retired from international rugby, or unavailable to play because they now play in France, for example. And you go through Bevan Rod. In the front row, Bevan Rod and Luke Cowan-Dickey are unavailable. The only jersey where I couldn't fit someone who was a kind of England player in the World Cup or has been an England player before or you would expect to be in the squad, the only position I couldn't find anyone was tight head prop. And arguably, well, I'm not going to say arguably, fact, that is England's weakest position on the entire rugby pitch. George Martin is out, at least for the Italy game. Nick Ezekwe has left the camp with an illness as well. In the back row, no Courtney Laws, who's just signed for Brive in the top 14 for next season. So he's not going to be available. Well, even if I've been saying Steve Borthwick just needs to give him an open checkbook and say, Courtney, come back. Well, even that's not going to work if England's eligibility requirements stay the same. Jack Willis playing away in France. I saw him play on Sunday night. He was absolutely dynamite as well for Toulouse. Tom Curry injured. Jack Van Portvliet, potentially Marcus Smith. But if not Marcus Smith, then Owen Farrell is also out. I'll put the name down there. Henry Arundel, Tuilangi, Lawrence, Marchant, Watson. So it actually is, out of the entire England squad, there are only 4 players that Steve Borthwick took to the World Cup in the 10 to 15 shirts. Only 4 players that Steve Borthwick took to the Rugby World Cup who are still available, and that is, should have written these down, George Ford, Elliot Daly, Freddie Stewart, and who is the other one? Oh, I've just brain farted it. That's gonna do my head in. Because Ollie Lawrence, yeah. You'll tell me the other one in the comments. I'm not going to sit here and just stare into space. So I think there's a very real possibility that we could see a very Northampton Saints heavy backline. Who knows? Potentially even Finn Smith if George Ford's leg's not all right. Fraser Dingwall looks like he's nailed on to start. Tommy Freeman. And maybe when you do all that and you got 4 of them, maybe get the 5th one in with George Furbank. I don't think that is what will happen, but is that what you would do? Do you know one thing I do think? Is I think that when this team is announced, it's going to be a bit raw. I think England fans are going to be... They'll expect to win against Italy, but I think they're going to be so enthusiastic about new faces and turnover that they're actually not going to mind too much about exactly what the result is if they see England going out and playing with a little bit of ambition. But coming back to it, I'm not so sure that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see maybe a slight loosening of the belt from Steve Borthwick, maybe a slight relaxation in the way England play, but I think it's still going to be very structured and very rigid. And actually, a lot of England fans aren't okay with that. I kind of am. Anyway, we haven't got long to find out what the team is. Now my voice is back. I'm back on the channel, all in on the Six Nations. Video after video after video coming. And I hope that you'll hit subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up because that really helps. And I will see you on the next one.